Welcome back from the break. You're still watching Life Stories. Thank you for being a part of the show. What happened to Deus affected everyone who cared about him, but it hit him twice as hard. How long did it take you to find a job?
I think studying was now easy. But when it came to a job, my friend, things were different. Now, the issue of a job stressed me more than ever before. Much as I had passed with these good grades, probably people didn't see value in the grades. Maybe the employers or what, I should say, because it's people, companies are made of people. I tried a bit of applying here and there, and unfortunately, I was not getting shortlisted. Then at one point I was shortlisted for some job and I went there, I did not succeed. Now, imagine from 2004.
What job was that?
It was at the district, community development officer at the district. Now, when I applied, of course I remember I even got a friend who took me when I was dropping my applications. We sat on a bicycle from our village here, up to Kavala district administration headquarters. I went on a bicycle when I was dropping my papers, put in, but I was not successful. Now, people kept on asking me that, you are applying for this job of community development officer. Do you know what it involves? It will involve going to the field. Now for you don't see, how will you sport? How will you know people? How will you hold meetings? How will you do the ABCD? Now, I think people always, whenever they see that you are blind, they begin with the challenges. They could never look on the positive side of the story. But I could keep on defending myself. Say, you know what, you people, I'm able to do this job because I've gone to school, I have my good grades. Why not? Why can't I do a job? But that was not a success. So I had to let that go. I accepted it. So I chose to go to Kampala and probably do some bit of job searching here and there. Now for the whole 2005, I was there, but there was no job for me. So I came back to the village, my village here, because I said instead of suffering from Kampala, I don't see why I should actually suffer. Let me go back to my village, Bojero, where I know food is a sure deal, accommodation is fine, I don't have to bother a lot.
His family was discouraged with his failure to get a job, but they were trampled more on the ground by a society that claimed to have seen it coming.
I was here actually for 6 months in this village, and in this home. Now life again became worse because while in the city I had people to share thoughts with, again life became difficult on the village because there was no one to advise me that you do this, you do that. So people now again started laughing. They said, you see, we told you. How could they spend money on this blind person? Frustrated. I actually started guessing why I had gone to school. Much as I have my degree with me, I was like, now, what is this degree helping me?
People with visual impairment most times are able to see through their hearts and minds. Deus cried to God to give him mental sight to make his life better.
Before I left Kampala, I had known some few people. So I contacted one of the directors for some NGO. It's called Sight Savers International. Now they did an eye health and education for the blind people. So I told him that, you know what, I'm here in the village, I'm in bed, I have nowhere to go, but all I'm requesting is for any placement in your organization, any voluntary opportunity, where at least to keep me busy. And he was kind enough. He said, okay, fine, let me think about it and I'll get back to you. After 2 days he calls me, says, you know what, Deus, I have taken the decision that you come to Kampala and sit in my office. And then I'm not assuring you of a job, but at least come and sit in my office. You'll get what to do. Now when I reached Kampala, I had a friend. He's actually a brother to my former OB, who is also visually impaired. So I just had to stay at his home for 2-3 days as I was sorting myself. So when it came to 3rd of January, I walked into this man's office very early in the morning. I walked there and he told me, you know what, Deus? He actually asked me, Deus, what can you do in this organization? He gave me a booklet to read. It was in Braille. I read it he actually told me, you read this very fast and tell me what you can do. So I did that very, very fast. And within, I think, 30 minutes, I had completed it. Then I had to meet him together with the other administrators. And they asked me, what do you think what value can you add to this organization? I said, I'm very good at research. For that reason, you can take me on for research. And actually, they gave me a research project about the impact of inclusive education on the visually impaired children. That's the research I started with. That was the assignment. And then he said, every month, I will be paying you 200,000 plus daily transport of 2,500 to keep you going. That is how I kickstarted now my journey.
How was your first job?
Well, now my first time on the job, guess what? I'm in an office where people don't read Braille again. Now I had to type to write my reports in a format that they have to understand. So the only advantage I had, there is a technology which had come. It was called Dolphin. Dolphin Computer Access. It talks. Now they told me that we have a technology here for blind people. If you can take it on, fine. But guess what? I had never been exposed to it. So now I had to just get someone, a sighted person, a sighted staff at the organization, to just take me through the guidelines, as we install into the computer. What does it show? What does it read? And that was actually a success. But then later I went for a computer course for blind people. At some point I said, you know what? Let me do what? Let me proceed and look for other jobs. Because that was a voluntary placement. So while I was there, I just received a phone call that, you know what? You've been appointed to go and serve in an institution for blind people. It was called Blind but Able. They had actually some lot of my background, and then they felt I would do some good work. So I went there and did work for 6 months, after which we lost the funding, because it was also an NGO. The organization lost funding.
Unfailing dedication to achieving goals can take one a long way in life. From the small challenging jobs Deus first did, he eventually ended up in a good job that many, even the society that scorned him, cannot easily find.
Despite being blind, at least I've turned to be a successful person. Ask me why. My first success has been registered in the area of education with my Bachelor of Arts degree in Social Sciences, moreover second upper. That's a big success. Penetrating into the job market is very, very fundamental for me. Myself working in a Standard Chartered bank, an international bank, I must say is a big success.
In speaking to Deus's parents, I saw a couple that was determined to help their son, irrespective of their poverty.
Kakati mama lero muwulira mutya okulaba nga omwana wa mwana ye yasobola okuvaamu omuntu ow'obuvunaanyizibwa.
Twashimira. Tutali tutala mu buyingo byaitu byabuyingirirwa konka twashimirwa olw'okuleba.
Hatiya bishimirirwe cyangu ahubwo kuba kare twaturakurura ari turakurura turamutwara ngeno hatiya litwara cyangwa turasiba uranze twatumwaga tumushagara rugarama tushuba tuza kumwendayo wonkati yari twara yise Kampala ashuba yigarura.
Sometimes we need to stand in the darkest of shadows to see the brightest light. Deus has no eyesight, but his great attitude is the eyes that have had him see his way to the highest of mountains. With the help of technology, Deus is able to serve the society through his job at the Standard Chartered Bank.
I put on these headphones just for comfort, for the comfort of the team, because we are sharing this office, as you can see. We share the office. So what I do, because the Deus software has some bit of of noise, what I do, I make sure I reduce on the noise by putting these headphones. So if I'm here, I'm able to network with the team via emails. And when, for example, an email is sent out, it reaches to everyone. So that means I'm also not left out because I'm able to access these emails from the single user. I have had to learn from colleagues. When I walked into the department, they introduced me, this is a phone. So I've at least been able to grasp this. So if, for example, I wanted to call someone, let me see, 949, assuming I wanted to know about the dollar rate. Just hold. Can I? Jen?
Yes.
I just wanted to confirm.
Yes.
The dollar rate for today?
The dollar is selling at 2,550.
2,550?
And buying is 2,400.
My first encounter with Deus Turiatemba was a very interesting one because he came here to Standard Chartered Bank, came to the reception, asked to see me, and the guys at the reception called me and they told me there's this blind man who wants to see you, and I asked him, where is he from? He said he's from the Uganda National Association of the Blind. And I had a quick chat from him while he was at the reception and asked them to let him come up. Now when he came to my desk, there was some intrigue that he generated in me because I asked him, he told me he's come to look for money for Uganda National Association of the Blind. So I asked him, do you actually work for that association? And he said, no, not really. I'm a volunteer. My work is really voluntary. They don't pay me a salary. So I asked him, why don't you actually look for a job where you can actually work? And asked him, do you have any qualifications? Are you a graduate? And he said, yes, I'm a graduate. I did my Bachelor of Arts. Actually got an upper second class degree. So this got me thinking, and I told him, can you actually use a computer? And he said, yes. I asked him, do you use a special computer or do you use any ordinary computer? And he told me, I can use any ordinary computer. And I asked him, can you actually use my computer? He said, yes. So I got out of my seat, directed him into it. He sat down, and he actually started using my keyboard and opening documents. But I think what really ticked me off is that he made my computer talk. And in my mind, in my age, I'd never known that computers actually speak. But as he was opening Word documents, Excel documents, the computer was actually responding. And he told me there's a program that every computer has that actually speaks, that he can relate to, he can communicate to. I was so impressed that I told Deus I was going to take him through an interview process so that the bank can actually consider recruiting him. And as I talked to my colleagues in human resources, there was a bit of the same apprehension that I also had, the same inquisitiveness, the same questions. But we took him through that interview, and the rest is history. He's been working with me in the Corporate Affairs Department since November 2007, and he's an invaluable addition to our team. I've mentioned that he writes proposals. There's one he wrote for our Seeing is Believing program just a few months after he had joined the bank, and we submitted it to our head office in London, and it earned us some $30,000, which was about 60 million shillings back then. So he's a very, very integral part of the department. He writes our press releases, for instance. He does all the work that we really do in corporate affairs, and I can see that he has a very, very bright future in the bank.
It doesn't come as a surprise that Deus has a good marriage. How could she not fall in love with him? He is full of strength and life.
So Deus, are you married?
Yes, I am. I am actually married.
How long have you been married?
Let me see. It's since 2007.
How did you meet your wife?
My wife meeting her actually is, I should say it's a long story, because she is from the Central region, and I met her in 2005, just after I'd completed the university, I was jobless, but I was just hanging in Kampala, trying to look for opportunities here and there. So somehow she was in the neighborhood where I was hanging for some time. So we used to meet, just not very often, but at least we could just talk a few words.
I mean, how did you spot her?
Spotting her, it was through, of course, interactions. Like that, slowly, I got and appreciate her character. Then along the way, I was imagining, I said, but as I'm said to look for a wife, what do I want from my wife? I want an understanding person. I want a kind person. I want an honest person. I want someone who is there for me. Someone who not feel embarrassed of me. Someone who see me getting astray.
You didn't think of the physical?
No. Actually, physical was not there in my mind at that point, because I always wanted someone who is who really understands, someone who cares, someone who understands me as Deus with a disability. At one point, I could also ask colleagues, but you people, how do you see that lady? Do you think, compared so and so, do you think she's such, a very, very attractive chick? But just to engage the audience, just to check, just for checking and balancing. But it was not my primary quality.
So when she eventually accepted to be your wife,
Yes.
what was the reaction of her parents when you went to see them?
All I know is that when I went there, the first time, she actually she introduced me to the parents and said, "No, this is my sweetheart. We're gonna be a couple." And that's it. And I just started seeing drinks flowing, chicken being
The
slaughtered.
parents accepted
Yes,
you?
they accepted. So they gave me what they give to a muko, and we drove back to Kampala. The reaction was very good. It's only again the community that keeps on judging. That when they see me walking with my wife, they are bothered. I ask them, "You people, why are you bothered about my wife? She's my wife." Because very many men, they don't work with their wives. Now maybe to me it is an advantage that the fact that I don't see, it's also a blessing in disguise.
To her?
Yeah. We have to work together, and surely I think that is also a blessing.
So she's blessed to have a blind husband because he will definitely walk with her.
Well, I shouldn't say that's the only blessing, but she's blessed to have a caring husband.
Okay. So do you have any children?
We have two, a boy and a girl.
So in case you're in a room and it's your child that has come in, you can tell that it's them.
The character, the way they behave. My children, the way they behave is very interesting. They call me dad. Actually, they don't know that I don't see. They call me dad. So when they come, say, "Dad, I want this, I want that," they are very, very positive.
Next, we hear from Deus's wife, Harriet Nabakoza Tuliatemba. How are you?
I'm fine.
How are you today, madam?
I'm fine.
Kakati olwaleero mu bufumbo bwo toyinayo ekintu kyonna kikukaluubiriza olw'omwami okubanga talaba?
No. Nedda. Nze siraba njawulo ya mwami alaba natalaba. Lw'ensonga byonna bineetaaga abintuusaako. N'omukono agulina. Oba omutambula nga wakubuuza, "Mbasajja balandalandayo yatalaba ninze mala." It's okay, me I'm okay with him. Nabo balina abami abalala naye nga abasinga. Yes. He's a very hard working man.
How can me and somebody out there make life easier for a blind person?
One, I think you people should stop judging us. You can't know who we are. It's like judging a book by its cover. You just look at the blind person and then you complete. Because this one has no sight, that's it. The person is dead. People bury us even before we are dead. They say, this one is a gone case. This one is dead. So I think if we can, if you people who are sighted, if you can stop judging us, or if you can also look on the good side of us, that would make our life comfortable. But once we are given an equal platform, once the attitude changes, once the society begins to look at blind people as people who can equally contribute to society, as people who have the same blood, people who have the same life, I mean, life will be easier for us.
And I totally agree with you. Thank you so much for being on the show today. Thank you for giving us your story and all that you've taught us through that story. I wish you all the best and
Thank you.
You stay well.
Everybody should dream big, and why not? A blind child becoming a bank manager, husband, father, and breadwinner for his people is not a mistake. Humans connect possibility to what meets the eye, but God gives each of us an infinite blessing to prosper in our lives. You are out there and you feel blind, yet you have eyes that can actually see. It is because you have developed a blind attitude. But think about a man like Deus, who is physically blind but can see clearly because he has developed a good attitude towards life. It is this attitude that has brought him to a place where he is monumental to society as a bank manager and also to his family as a good husband and father. Thumbs up to Deus's parents and others like them who choose to nurture, love, and educate children with special needs or disabilities. We also thank employers like Standard Chartered Bank who give people with disabilities or special needs a chance of employment. Thank you for giving this show a slot in your day. That was it on Life Stories. I'm Justine, your host. Remember, you can still catch the show on YouTube. Have your say on Life Stories on its Facebook and Twitter pages. Stay well.